The hardest thing in life you're going to be able to do is try. That is the hardest thing. The barrier to entry to even just go out on a limb, take a step forward and risk it all on something that you're unfamiliar with, because we're all going to suck. We've all done something in life and we felt embarrassed. We felt stupid. We felt like this was the end. This couldn't get any worse. But we've survived 100% of our bad days. And if you look back, hindsight is always 2020. What we thought was the worst time in our life was actually building us into a better version of ourselves. If I look back on my life, I've been through a lot. I've been through heartbreaks, I've been through injuries, I've been through a lot of adversity. But in those times of lowness, hence being in the valley, those were the closest times where God was working right next to me, working within me, and building me up into a new version of myself, a better man, someone that understood what standards I needed to hold and what I would not tolerate going forward, whether it was in a relationship, whether it was in a circumstance or a job. Environments will either make you or break you, and either you remove yourself or you accept the mediocrity and the bare minimum, and then you just have an unfulfilled life. That is not what I know you don't want and I don't want. So why don't we start working towards becoming a better version of ourselves? It's not easy. Clearly, it's going to cost a little bit of time, maybe a little bit more than you think it's going to be. Some blood, some sweat, some tears. There's going to be some nights that you're going to cry, bro. We've all cried, and if you said you don't, you're lying right now. You're lying to your face. But let's be honest, man. Are you really living to your full capacity? Or have I caught you doom scrolling during this video right now? Have I caught you eating the bad food? Have I caught you going out and drinking alcohol or getting involved in some promiscuous situations with the opposite sex? That's probably not the best thing for you right now, brother. I know that it feels good in the moment and you want to indulge in these things because you want to escape your shitty life. But what's going to happen after that experience is gone? You're going to be left void. You're going to be left with that gaping hole in your heart. You're not going to be fulfilled because you haven't addressed the problems that you've been running away from. You don't run away, but you run at them. It's just like the buffalo. They go into the storm because they know when they go into it, it's going to be shorter than running away from it. Because you keep running away from your problems, they're only going to get bigger and they're only going to come faster at you, because everyone likes to tuck all their emotions deep down inside them. And then one day when someone triggers them, they just blow up. But that's not the case. Like, you gotta just let it go, like the Joker says. But clearly you guys know that you could be doing better. You have that self-awareness. And that's the first step. Once you're aware that you're not doing the right things on a daily basis, then you can start to think, okay, what can I do opposite of everything that I'm doing right now so that I start to live life righteously? I don't live for the world. I don't live for my flesh. I don't do the things that are going to bring me down into damnation or to any other place. Think of the deepest, darkest place, literally hell itself. But you could live such a higher quality life if you just applied yourself. You don't have to go 0 to 100 overnight. But by just taking one step forward and doing something different, changing the way you eat, changing the time you wake up, changing how much water intake you're having every day, is super basic. It's like bare minimum status, what you can do. You can even walk more. You can try to aim for 8K steps, 10K steps. It's not hard. It's not like it's running a marathon. You have to train for these things. You could get that amount of steps in a day. You just have to stay active. You have to stay up. You don't just constantly sit down, because when we sit down, our hips get tight and everything just locks up. And clearly, maybe you're in that place right now. Maybe you have back issues. Maybe you're feeling a little bit weak in your lower body. Well, there's a sign. Maybe we should start training. Maybe we should start going to the gym and applying ourselves. Maybe you have a little bit extra body fat on you. Maybe that's something that you've been neglecting for the last couple months or couple years. Well, now's the time for you to take action. Do the things that future you is constantly doing on a daily basis. He has higher values, higher standards, and he doesn't break commitments. He keeps his promises, especially to himself, and he doesn't let anyone get in his way. Clearly, there are things that are going to happen in life. Things aren't going to go always to plan, but that is how you also learn the new skill set of learning how to pivot. It is simple. When you try to go A to B and there's an obstacle, then you go AC. You find a different route. It's literally like when you're driving on the roads and they're doing construction on a certain street and they give you a detour, just take the detour. You're still going to get to your destination. Maybe it's not as fast as you want it to be, but sometimes the detours are the best teachers because they bring you into places that you never would have went into, whether it's learning new streets, you're meeting new people, you're having better conversations, you're opening yourself up to new opportunities, for new doors to open, and you never know what could happen. But that happens only when you take a leap of faith, when you go out of your way to see what God has to offer you, when you trust Him, when you step out in faith and you believe that whatever He's doing behind the curtain is going to be beneficial for your life, that whatever prayers that you've been praying for a long time are going to be answered. Everything is going to come into fruition, but it comes with that crazy faith of saying that no matter what happens, I know God has got me. I know God's going to take care of it. And that doesn't mean that you can sit back on the couch and be lazy, watch Netflix, and order Uber Eats. You do have to do some type of work. God calls man to work, to be in His presence, or like, take Adam for example. Adam was called to tend the garden and he was doing his job. He was doing his duty. He was doing what he was called to do and what he was created for. Men are created to provide, protect, to serve, to lead. Be that person in your family. Be that person in your friend group. Be that person in your church. Be that person at your job. There's a lot of people that just want to clock in and clock out without doing much. When you go above and beyond, people will start to notice. Whether it's with your physique, whether it's with your work ethic, whether you're doing something when no one's asked you to. That takes a lot more energy, but it's a lot more rewarding later on. And you're not looking for a handout. But there are no free rides. You're going to have to put in the work, man. And whether you're 18 watching this or you're 30 plus, there's always time for you to change course, to correct the problems or the actions that you haven't been taking. Everyone has two lives. The day he realizes that he's saved and he lives for Christ, and the day that he dies and goes with Christ. But during those two times, when he lives for the world and then gets born again and then lives the righteous life, he's going to make a lot of mistakes in the world and while living for Christ. But with those two things, he can accumulate so much knowledge through the failures, through the lessons, and through everything that the world and God throws at him. And he can not only share that wisdom with other people around him, but he can also teach people, especially the younger generation, how to lead a righteous life, lead a fulfilled life, lead a life that they're going to be proud of, that is going to be honorable to God when you meet him on Judgment Day. Do you want to live a life full of mediocrity where you constantly are distracted, overwhelmed, you're overweight, and you have all these problems, and then you just keep giving in to the vices? Or do you want to live a life full of fulfillment? Do you want to live a life where you are the superhero, you're the main character of the movie? And that doesn't mean everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows. You're not Rocky. It just doesn't work like that. You're going to be down in the dump. You're going to be a bum in the beginning. But just like Rocky, you start from the bottom and you move your way up. You keep fighting people, whether it's Apollo Creed, whether it's Clubber Lang, whether it's Dolph Lundgren or somebody else. There's always going to be another opponent across from you in the ring. But the biggest opponent you're going to have to face in life is the man in the mirror. That is your biggest opponent, your biggest adversary. You can either help yourself succeed or you're going to be the greatest sabotager of all time. Don't do that to yourself, man, because you have so much potential. That's why you have this urge to become more, to change your family lineage for the next couple generations. You could turn your whole life around. You could get out of debt. You could become stronger. You could create so much. Opportunities are endless, especially in today's age. We have so much technology in our lives that we can literally just, at our fingertips, click it and we can find the research. That we can apply the data and we can start to create something that is worthwhile. So are you going to apply yourself? Are you going to stand on business and be the man that you've been called to be? Or are you going to stay in on the porch like a little puppy and play your video games and live in your parents' basement until you're like 30 something years old? The choice is yours, brother. I'm choosing to live abundant for God because I know He calls me to do more. What are you going to choose? If you found any value out of this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a comment if you want one-on-one coaching. Or you can click the link in the description below. All right? Peace.